My name is Clint, and this is Yin Yoga. Thanks for coming. Today, the targets that we're going to be working on are your hip flexors and your glutes primarily. You'll get some spine work. You'll get I think I'd be lying if I told you that you'd get much in the way of shoulders. Yesterday, most of the poses were dealing with shoulders and spine. But anyway, the poses are all friends or frenemies, depending on how your body is. But you try to do what you can, and what you struggle with, make adjustments. The way Yin Yoga works is that you'll stretch into a pose about 70% of your maximum stretch. And then you seek softness. You try to relax those muscles that you've extended. And when you are able to do that, and those muscles will normally begin to relax after about a minute. Stillness works wonders. Getting jittery and moving around a bit kind of hampers your muscles from feeling safe enough to be able to relax. So anyway, once your muscles relax, the tension from your body position is transferred from your muscles into your fascia. And your fascia is that real thin coating around each of your muscles and actually each of your organs that ties your whole body together. It keeps the shape of your muscles, and it protects your muscles. It has about 6 times as many nerve endings, so your muscles can take a lot more abuse than your fascia can. But as you age, your fascia shrinks more than any other body part. And as that shrinks, it restricts your movement. So you might not be able to move as far as you did when you were younger. And this class, any Yin class, and any class such as Tai Chi, works on the same principle of getting your fascia to stretch. And once you get those muscles softened, the stretch goes from your muscles into your fascia. That stimulates activity in the stem cells that you're producing. And you all are producing stem cells. That's not just, in utero, but those are the cells that can become anything. And those go to wherever the sensations are greatest, and it helps those tissues grow. So let's begin. I'm going to start in a regular seated position. Now, I normally like to sit up on a block. I'm not going to, because today I'm going to start by having a forward fold. So sit tall. Your sit bones should be on the mat. Your knees should be low. And if your knees are up higher, maybe you want to just stick a block underneath so that your knees don't pop up and down. But from here, allow your eyes to close. And then on an exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. You'll find that your knees will come down somewhat. You're not racing to get your chest on the mat. Your chest may not ever get to the mat. That's okay. But what you're trying to do is keep your sit bones down and lengthen your spine. Maybe your elbows can come down onto the mat, maybe not. Maybe you can raise the floor by putting a block underneath. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your nose, and let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. Be a witness of how your breath is right now, as if you'd have to testify. How does that breath come in through your nostrils? Can you feel it swirling around inside your nasal cavities, where it gets cleaned, moistened, and warmed, getting ready to be presented to your lungs? Maybe you can feel the breath running down the back of your throat and into your lungs. Now with the forward fold, your breath is being restricted from where you normally breathe. So note the parts of your lungs that get inflated here. Are you breathing into your belly, into your shoulders? Maybe you can feel your breath expanding your lower back. Feel your groins beginning to loosen. Your quads get a little bit stretched. On your next inhale, walk your hands back and sit upright. From here, we're going to do a few head rolls, working on the neck, which is something that I haven't done too much of recently. But from here, raise your head up towards the sky, the crown of your head. That's the part that you want to go all the way up. And then on an exhale, just allow your head to bow forward. Bring your chin towards your chest. Your chest is just a direction. Close your eyes and begin to listen. On your inhale, begin to roll your head to the right, so your right ear comes over your right shoulder. And then continue rolling your head, back of your head down, your nose up, and continue on around. Bring your left ear towards your left shoulder, and then bring your nose back down and your chin to your chest. If you're hearing some snap, crackle, pops, that's your fascia. Go the other way. So bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. When your fascia and your muscles aren't extended, continue going all the way around. But when your muscles aren't reaching for the maximum range of motion, at least every couple of days, your fascia begins to stick together. And what you hear, one more time, what you hear is that fascia breaking free of its neighbor. And this happens all over your body. When you wake up in the morning, you're stiff. That's because your fascia between muscles. Next time you come chin down, pause there, and raise your head up. This time, roll over on or come up onto one hip and put your opposite hand underneath your butt cheek. And then roll on top of that hand and put the other hand underneath so that your arms are trapped. They should be pulled down fairly tight. And I just want you to do the same thing. So close your eyes, turn inside, bring your head forward. Can you feel a difference with the amount of stretch that you're getting as you begin to roll your head around in circles? Go the opposite direction. And the next time you come chin on your chest, pause, raise your head up, release your hands, and we'll go to the second pose, which is one of Priscilla's favorites. So we're going into half saddle. So saddle is a quad stretch, and just if you can roll over your knees and come forward into table, that would work. Otherwise, just come onto one hip and then come into table. So table, your knees are directly below your hips. Your wrist crease is directly below your shoulders. Do a couple of cat cows. The next time you come to center, pause. From here, just come back and sit on your heels. In Hatha, this sometimes is called hero pose. What saddle is, half saddle, is you can stay here or you can bring your left leg forward, but you may need a shim. You may need a towel or a block underneath your opposite hip. And if you can move your heel farther out to the side, like I'm doing here, you'll get an even larger sensation on your quads. Your quads are these four muscles on the front of your thigh. Stretch that left heel away. So you're getting the hamstring, which is the back of your left thigh, and the quad on the right. Now bring your hands behind your hips. Lift your chest high. Your gaze can be up or forward. And then begin to tilt your pelvis backward. Tuck your tailbone under. That will help your sacrum move inside your pelvis. Your sacrum is the bottom of your spine. It's the big bone. It's actually 5 bones of your spine that fuse together. And it transfers the weight from your spine into your pelvis. If this is good, maybe you want to come down onto your elbows, but you certainly don't have to. Pain is bad regardless of any other circumstances, so back up. On your inhale, come back up. Roll onto your left hip. Release your right leg out to the front. And from here, a counter pose, you can do a number of different counter poses. You may want to just straighten out your legs, push your heels away. You can rotate your feet, which rotates your femur in your hip socket. And when you were in saddle, the right leg, you had an inward rotation on that femur, which is a rotation that you don't often get. Find your strap. Everybody have a strap? Okay, so from here, also make sure that you have a block handy. I'm not going to need it immediately, but come down onto your elbows and onto your back. Push your heels away. And then draw your right knee into your chest. Give that knee a squeeze. See how close you can get it. And maybe you can even take that knee off to the side a little bit towards your right armpit. And then take your strap, the center of your strap, and put it over the ball of your foot. And then grab an end with each hand and step on the ceiling, straightening out that foot and that leg. And then draw your hands outward. That will put extra weight on your leg being drawn down into your pelvis. So you're seating your femur into your pelvis, into that hip socket. Now what you're feeling here is, well, you're feeling a bit of hamstring on the back of your leg. But if you draw that right foot towards the wall beyond your head, you're feeling a stretch on your psoas, the main elevator muscle, the main hip flexor. And then carefully change your bind into just your right hand. Turn your right foot out maybe 10 or 15 degrees. Put your left hand on top of your left thigh to prevent that leg from raising up. And then slowly let that right foot descend towards the mat, towards the floor, but knowing that you'll never get there. If you get all the way down, just increase the tension. This is a stretch of your hip flexors, both your psoas and in particular your iliacus, which is the flexor that lifts, and then adducts your leg. And once you get out wide, maybe you want to just support your elbow on the floor or on the mat or on a block. You don't want to be working too hard. Breathe into wherever those sensations are. Notice if the back of your thigh has begun to soften. Soften your lower abdomen here. planned the music perfectly for this moment. As your muscles begin to soften, you probably cannot really tell that the tension is picked up by your fascia. But as the muscles soften, that's the only place that tension can go. On your next inhale, again, bringing that leg back up towards the ceiling. Once you get there, pause. And then keeping tension on your strap, bend your knee until you can carefully release it. Release the strap and set it aside. Draw that knee into your chest. And then join your left knee to meet the right. Then rock from left to right. And massage your spine. Make sure you have a block within reach and just lower your feet down onto the mat next to your sit bones. Your block has 3 different dimensions. You want the flat side. You want this to be the flat direction. And the long direction, the 9 inches, you want going from left to right. Now bring your hands to next to your hips. Tuck your tailbone under on an inhale and lift your hips up towards the ceiling into bridge. Stay here a couple of breaths. Feel your quads, feel your glutes, which are doing most of the work, pushing your legs backward, in this case down. And then exhale, lower your hips back down. This time, grab your block and inhale, lift up, and then place that block the flat way underneath your sacrum. Now your sacrum is that flat, triangular shaped bone that starts just about at the top of your hip points. And then lower back down. We're going into reclining swan. So from here, raise that right foot up onto the ceiling again. Push that heel away. Bend that right knee and bring your right ankle over the top of your left thigh, like a gentleman sitting. And then, on an inhale, lift that left knee up. Reach your right hand between your legs. Grab the back of your left thigh. Make a bind with your hands. If you're more flexible, you can make a bind across your shins. And you can always use your strap if your arms are too short. Now from here, what you're doing is you're stretching your glutes on the right side. You have a lot of options here. If you move your right knee out to the right, you can shift where you feel this pose. If you move that knee to the right, you'll get more into the gluteus maximus, which is, the medius, which is the outer part of your glute. Or if you move your knee to the left to line up almost with your left knee, goes to your gluteus maximus, which is closer to your spine. But seek that sensation in that target area. The reason for the block is to have gravity working for you. Raises your hips so you don't have to grab and tug and pull. It doesn't matter what your feet are doing. They can be pointed or flexed. You should not have any pain or sensation in your right knee because your right knee is not supposed to twist. For about the first year or so of yoga, I thought swan pose or pigeon pose in hatha was a way to open up your knee. Boy, was I wrong. You can also move your knees to one side or the other and see how that sensation migrates. Remember, you're seeking sensation and then softening. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, release your bind and carefully lower your left foot down to the mat. Take your right foot up onto the ceiling, pushing your heel away, and then return that foot to the floor. On an inhale, lift your hips, remove the block, set it aside. Bring your hips back down onto the mat. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. You can rock from left to right or make circles on the ceiling with your knees. And then bring your arms out into T. With your knees in close to your chest, you're going to do a spinal twist. So from here, begin to lower your knees to the left. And maybe you can gaze out over your right fingertips. Maybe you want to bring your left hand on top of your right knee, top knee, to help keep those knees together. A couple of options here. The first one I'll offer is an IT band stretch. And you can do that easily by just straightening out that right leg towards the sidewall. And what that does, it stretches your IT band, which goes all the way from your pelvis down to your tibia. That's the big bone in the lower part of your leg. And you can feel that as almost a piece of steel about an inch wide passing by the outside of your knee. If that doesn't suit your body today, you can always move your knees down closer towards the front of the mat to move the twist into your lower lumbar spine. Or bring your knees farther up towards your left arm. That moves the twist into your thoracic spine, where your roots are. But whatever's best for you, do it. Doing a pose just because an instructor tells you to. If it doesn't feel right, find an option that does. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Give yourself another squeeze. Rock a little bit. And the next pose is going to start in a seated position. So a couple of easy ways to get there. One would be to cross your ankles and rock forwards and backwards. Or you can come over onto a side. And this is caterpillar. Caterpillar is a forward fold. And this time I'm going to use a block underneath my sit bones. And use gravity to help my upper body come forward. But your feet should be roughly hip width apart. I know many of you have been taught, oh, you keep your feet together. Well, it's more comfortable if your feet are wider. So from here, you want to tilt your pelvis forward again. Another reason for the block. Inhale your chest tall. And then walk your hands forward, drawing their collarbones towards the far wall. Please turn it off. And come forward until your body tells you it's time to pause. And once you get there, just soften your spine so it rounds. Maybe you want to bend your elbows, bring your palms up towards the ceiling. Let your head just hang. Caterpillar is a spine lengthener and also a hamstring stretch. And you can choose where you want to put most of the sensation, most of the force that you're experiencing. It can go into your spine, come forward more, or into your hamstrings by straightening out your legs a little bit more. Either is good. Either is right. Use your breath to breathe into those sensations so that you can relax those muscles. If you're targeting your hamstrings, your hands are in a great position just to reach up and touch those muscles, giving those muscles permission to soften. How is your breath? Every time you come into a position where your body restricts your breath in some way or another, observe your breath so that you understand how your body makes adjustments without your intervention. That will help you become a better steward of your body. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back up. If you're on a block, carefully remove it. Bring your hands behind your hips. Bring your footprints to the mat. And from here, you can bring your feet wide or narrow, really doesn't matter. Maybe start one way or the other, and then change it. And windshield wiper your knees and feel what's happening in your hips. This movement is helping out your hip flexors and your glutes. Next time you come to center pause, straighten out your legs, come down onto your elbows, make sure you have your block handy. Come all the way down, raise your hands up towards the ceiling, and then rotate them towards the wall beyond your head. Push your heels away, push your palms away, stretch. Then return your hands next to your hips. Walk your sit bones, or walk your feet up towards your sit bones and grab your block. Now this time with your block has 3 different heights. And if you don't want to use a block, you don't have to. This is supported bridge. So this is going to stretch your abdomen and your spine. So place the block underneath your sacrum the highest way you feel comfortable. And everybody here is going to be different. So on an inhale, tuck your tailbone under, lift your hips up. And place the block. I'll be coming around to check to make sure that the block is in the right place. A little higher. And if you get the block set and then you don't like it, change it. If you're stable here, you can walk your feet forward. You need the block because if you're holding up, you're not releasing your muscles. And in order to get the benefit from the pose, your muscles have to be able to relax. If you'd like to intensify this a little bit, raise your hands up towards the ceiling. And then rotate them down onto the mat behind your head. And feel that stretch across your upper chest. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, return your arms down next to your hips. Walk your feet back towards your sit bones. And on another inhale, lift your hips up, remove the block. Carefully lower your hips back down. Draw one knee into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Draw the other knee in, give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right, or make some big circles on the ceiling with your knees. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, we're going back into a seated position, so you can rock forwards and backwards. Coming up. And you're in the perfect position for saddle on the other side. So an easier way maybe to get into saddle is to start with your legs out in front. And since we're going to be on the left leg, you can just lean over onto your right hip, bend that left knee, insert a block or a rolled up towel. And again, what you're looking for is right here on the top of your thigh. You're not looking to stress your knee at all. And then once you're here, bring your hands behind your hips. I hesitate to call this fun, but you can tilt your hips back and you can really feel that increase of tension on your quads. Now, move the person behind you and your pelvis tilts the other way and you feel something different. So find what's good for you. And it may be sitting upright and maybe getting out of this completely. Or it may be coming down at your elbows. I'm not going to be down here long enough for anyone to get all the way down onto their back. But that's certainly an option. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, begin to come back up. Roll back over onto that right cheek. Release the left leg forward. Stretch your heels far away. Rotate your feet. You can windshield wiper if that feels better. Everybody experiences this differently. So find your strap. I'm going to do the leg lift on the left side. So come all the way down onto your back. And draw your left knee into your chest. Maybe take it a little wider or a little more towards the center, whatever feels good. And then grab your strap, place the center of your strap over the ball of that foot. Grab the outside ends with your hands and step up onto the ceiling. Draw your hands outward. Your back is getting a little bit of strength training here. And maybe you want to just draw your foot towards the wall beyond your head. Maybe stretching your hamstrings. And then carefully change your bind into just your left hand. Bring that right hand on top of your right thigh. Turn your left foot out about 15 degrees. If anyone is interested, I have a protractor available. And then slowly, taking your time, as that leg comes over, see if you can determine when a muscle or a particular fiber gives up some tension to its neighbor. Your muscles work in unison, but they don't all work equally. Try to soften your left thigh. And then rest your elbow on the mat or on a block. In Ashtanga Yoga, we talk about the Mula Bandha and the Uddiyana Bandhas. They tighten up to gain heat. Well, the Mula Bandhas are your pelvic floor muscles. Soften those. Soften your Uddiyana Bandhas. Those are the lower abdomen muscles, halfway between your navel and your pubic bone. And if your muscles aren't softening, maybe just allow your foot to move towards the bottom of your mat just a little bit. Give up some tension. But always be seeking that softness. If the pose becomes too easy, just increase the tension. And let your muscles begin to soften again. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, slowly bring that foot all the way back up onto the ceiling. With tension still on, bend that knee until you can safely release your strap and set it aside. Bring that knee into your chest. Maybe point your toes and then flex your foot. And then add the other leg. Rock from left to right. And then lower your feet down next to your sit bones. Grab your block. We're to supported swan or reclining swan again. So with your hands next to your hips, tuck your tailbone under. That will push the small of your back down into the mat. And inhale, lift up. And feel that stretch across your quads, across your lower abdomen. And then come back down. On another inhale, lift up. Bring the block to flat dimension below your sacrum. The long dimension is left to right. Then lift that left foot back up onto the ceiling. Really push that heel away. And then bend that left knee, bringing the left ankle over the top of your right thigh. This is reclining swan. When you're ready, lift that right knee up. Maybe make a bind behind that right thigh or in front of your right shin. And your target is your left glute again. Another target of this pose is your piriformis, which is an adductor. It's a muscle that draws your legs together. That's attached to your upper thigh, upper femur, and your sacrum. And because of its location, many people have some issues with that. Being sore or engaging with major nerves. You have all the same options that you had before. You can move your knee to the left with your right foot just barely on your left foot barely on your right thigh. Or you can move it to the right. So it's almost like shoelace. I know there's at least one person here who wished this was that. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, release your bind and lower your right foot down to the mat. Bring that left foot up onto the ceiling again, stretch. And then bring that foot down to meet the right. Inhale, lift your hips up. Remove the block, set it aside. Draw your knees into your chest. And rock from left to right. And then bring your arms out into T again. On your next exhale, lower your knees to the right. And spinal twist. Now, if your knees don't touch each other, you can either add the weight of your right hand on top of that left knee, or you can bring a block in between your knees. You want your muscles to be able to soften. Notice where you're feeling this most and breathe into that area. You have the same options. You can stretch that top leg out to get your IT band stretched. You may find that you're getting exactly what you need without any modifications. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, bring your knees back to center. Give yourself a squeeze. And rock or make circles on the ceiling one last time before Shavasana. Make sure you go in opposite directions if you're making the circles. And the next time you come to center pause, release one leg out to the front of your mat. And then release the other leg. Make sure they're comfortable distance apart. Press your heels away. And then just let your feet go. Bring your arms out by your side, or maybe out into T, whatever feels best for you. You can even walk your shoulder blades underneath your chest. Stretch your spine long. Lift your head an inch, tuck your chin, and lower your head back down to the mat. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose. And breathe it out through your nose. And another. And take rest. I'll be coming around and adjusting some of you. I will not be able to get to everyone. If you do not want me to touch you, just wave me away where you hear my footprints. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers, into your toes, to your wrists, into your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. When you're ready, walk your footprints up towards your sit bones. Draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right, massaging your spine. And the next time you come over towards your right side, pause there for a moment in fetal pose, using your right arm as a pillow. And scan your body for any residual tension or stress that wasn't addressed during this practice, so that you can take care of that in another practice later in the week. And then using the strength in your left hand, push the floor away. Rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this afternoon. Thank you for spending the time and effort to keep your body healthy and your mind healthy through the practice of yoga. Take the compassion and peace that you practice every time you step on your mat with you everywhere you go, and share it with your family, your friends, and every person you may meet. Namaste.
Namaste.
My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thank you for coming.